So, in our last and actually also our very first episode on the Israeli-Iranian conflict from a game theory perspective, we came to the conclusion that up until June the 13th, 2025, what we were really seeing was a kind of Cold War, a low-intensity, indirect conflict. And from a game theory standpoint, this was a kind of equilibrium. In our payoff metrics, game theory payoff metrics, it landed at position 4-2. That means do not attack from the side of the United States and Israel, because according to Nash equilibrium, changing that decision unilaterally would only make things worse. It would drop the payoff from 2 to 1. And on Iran's side, the decision was continue the nuclear program. Again, any individual shift in strategy would have led to a worse outcome, a payoff of 2 instead of 4. That is why the equilibrium was 4-2. So what has changed in that equilibrium that led Israel to launch an attack? We concluded it was one or maybe two key factors. First, the earlier assumption that the United States and Israel didn't know the exact locations of all of Iran's nuclear facilities was probably no longer valid. And second, a bit more cynical but grounded in the public choice theory, which says that politicians too act mainly in their own self-interest. Prime Minister Netanyahu likely saw the attack as a way to hold on to power amid growing domestic threats. That's why, from Israel's perspective, attacking becomes the preferred option, at least when there is no agreement and Iran keeps pushing forward with its nuclear program. Basically, the 1 and 2 in the matrix switch places. This way. On the other side, Iran would still rather continue the nuclear program. That's where we see the 3 and 4 payoffs. But it also has to factor in that if it does, Israel will almost certainly choose to attack, because 2 is better than 1 for Israel. And knowing that the inevitability of an Israeli strike might actually push Iran to pause or stop the program, flipping the matrix again, with the 3 and 2 switching places. This way. Just to bring Israel back to choosing don't attack. That lands us in position 3-4. But here is the catch. 3-4 isn't a Nash equilibrium. Why? Because Iran still has an incentive to change its decision. It could do better by going back to continuing the program. That move would shift us out of 3-4 position to 4-1. Again, and Israel's response threatened to attack again, taking us to 2-2. Then in the next round, both sides would probably swing back to 3-4 again, because 3 is better than 2 and 4 is better than 2. But that back and forth cycle isn't a stable equilibrium. It's not a Nash equilibrium. Now, from a game theory point of view, especially when we are talking about zero-sum games, where the winner takes all, which is exactly how this scenario should be framed, both players have to plan for the worst case outcome. That's why Israel, fearing the continued development of Iran's nuclear program, will keep attacking relentlessly until the objective is achieved. And for Iran, the only real way out is through negotiations. If Ayatollah Khamenei is thinking rationally, then Iran ultimately has to let in inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. That is the only way out for Iran to stop the war, and in a broader sense, maybe the only way to prevent an even larger crisis for the world. It was Game Theory in Use. Thank you.